Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? Adjumants and a job coming to you guys here today with another booster box opening. So, today we have a box of Gatecrash that we're going to be opening on up. So, this is actually the fourth full box of Gatecrash that I'm opening up here on the channel. If you guys want to purchase a box of Gatecrash, there's a link down below to abugames.com where you guys can actually go ahead and purchase one of these. There's a lot of cool stuff in Gatecrash, a lot of really awesome rares and mythics. So, with this box, we're not really going to focus on the commons and the uncommons here. If you guys are interested in that, you guys can check out my daily pack openings that are on the channel. But with this box, we're just going to be focusing on the rares and the mythics and the foils. So we'll open this up here and take a look at what we have inside. So we'll put that up there, get that flyer out of the way, and we're going to get right on into it. Alright, so we have Rubble Belt Raiders, no foil out of this pack. Rubble Belt Raiders is awesome for like casual kitchen table magic as well as limited. In limited, it's really nuts. It hasn't been seeing really any standard play, but it's a awesome card for limited, that's for sure. Alright, so this one we have a Orzhov Charm, which is good. We'll make note of that. We also have a Godless Shrine in here, which is a shockland for us, and no foil. So first shockland of the box. Godless Shrine is awesome. Orzhov Charm is a playable uncommon as far as constructed formats go, so I did want to put that aside. But shocklands are always awesome. Skullcrack is pretty solid. We have Duskmantle Seer here, so 4/4 for 4 flyer, and he essentially has Dark Confidence ability where, except it's kind of like modified where both players are going to be using it. So at the beginning of your upkeep, both players look at or reveal the top card of their library. They lose life equal to the converted mana cost of said card, and then put the card into their hand. I've played him in limited and in constructed. He is really fun to play with. He's kind of tricky because if you play a lot of really high cost stuff, he kind of punishes you for doing so. But at the same time, he's a really cool card. All right, so we have the Sylvan Primordial. He's a pretty fun guy to play in limited as far as 7-drops go. Just because he's really huge. He's a 6/8 with a reach for 7. And whenever you're forced drafting, which the more experienced drafters will know what I mean, whenever you're forced drafting, especially 4 or 5 colors, the Primordial is definitely really nice in Gatecrash to have as a big bomb for forced drafting. Alright, so we have Burning Tree Emissary, which is pretty awesome. Ooze Flux, which lets us take off +1/+1 counters off of our creatures, and it has a 2 mana activation cost for it. And then we get to put an XX onto the battlefield equal to the amount of +1/+1s we took off of our creatures. So it's a pretty fun card for Simic as far as limited goes. And also Undying, I guess, as far as constructed goes. We have Whispering Madness. So Whispering Madness is essentially Windfall, where it's 4 mana, and it's each player discards his or her hand. Then everybody draws cards equal to the greatest amount discarded, and then you also get to cipher it onto a creature. So it's kind of like a fun way to mill out your opponents. Alright, so we have Firemain Avenger, flying in Battalion 3/3 for 4 mana, and with the Battalion, it's a Lightning Helix, so it deals 3 damage to target creature or player, and you gain 3 life. We also have a Nice and Shiny Swamp, which is the first foil that we have, which is, it's kind of weird. Usually, I'm more used to getting a whole lot more foils out of a box so far, but I don't know. I always like getting foil land, so I never complain about it. We have a Stomping Ground, so another Shockland for us. No foil out of this pack. So 2 Shocklands so far. That's not bad. And 1 Mythic. Firemain Avenger is playable, if anything. I mean, the Rebel Belt Raiders is fairly playable as well. If I can only open this pack. This one just doesn't want to come open. There we go. There better be something good in this one. Simic Charm's pretty good. And we have Biovisionaries. So not really. Biovisionary is a fun card though. No foil. At the beginning of your end step, if you control... Or actually, it's at the beginning of the end step, so it's not specifically yours. But if you control 4 or more creatures named Biovisionary, you win the game. So there's kind of different approaches to playing around that. But Biovisionary is a fun card to build, like just like a kitchen table magic where you like reanimate 4 of them at the same time with like Angel of Glory's Rise, or have all of your creatures like become Biovisionary or something like that. Alright, so another Burning Tree Emissary, our rare is Gruul Rage Beast, and this is another really just awesome card for limited. I love this guy. 6/6 for 7, and whenever he enters the battlefield or another creature you control enters the battlefield, your creature is going to fight another creature that an opponent controls, so you end up just having this really awesome like removal suite just by playing creatures in limited, and I just love them for that. We'll try and speed things up here. I'll stop babbling quite as much. We have Aurelia's Fury, so this card is awesome. X, 1 red mana and 1 white mana. It's a mythic at instant speed, and it's going to deal X amount of damage divided amongst however many creatures or players we're going to decide to like divide it by. So any creatures that are dealt damage that way are going to get tapped down, and any players that are dealt damage that way can't cast non-creature spells during the given turn. Spells that are below this stack at that point still resolve as normal. Aurelia's Fury is awesome for Constructed. I love it. I played it at the beginning of the season for Gatecrash for Standard, and I'm still playing it. It's really awesome. It's definitely a really solid card, and it's another mythic for us here out of this box. So this is the last pack in the first row here. So Sylvan Primordial again. So double Primordial. It's never a good start when you keep on getting more and more Primordials, and more the Primordial cycle cards, like, because there's 5 of them. Generally, whenever I get like 2 of the same one, I know I'm going to get more out of the box. So we'll see if that's the case for this one. I mean, it's not a bad thing. They're not horrible cards, but I'd rather get other things, as you guys could imagine. We have Enter the Infinite, which is a really fun mythic card here for us. So it's a sorcery for 12, which is ridiculous. But you draw cards equal to the number of cards in your library, then you put a card from your hand on top of your library. You have no maximum hand size until your next turn. It's just a ridiculous card. I've seen people play like Unexpected Results in the Enter the Infinite and Laboratory Maniac and just all the crazy stuff. Just absolutely ridiculous. Definitely a fun card to play around. Alright, let's see. What do we have? Illusionist's Bracers. So the card that lets you double up non-mana abilities of creatures. So whenever a ability of said creature is activated, you pretty much get to double it up. And we have a foil Shattering Blow, which lets us get rid of artifacts. I couldn't remember because I don't think I've ever played it once in Limited. I've drafted it a few times, but I don't think there's ever been a necessity to actually play it as far as sideboarding goes. Alright, let's see. We have Fathom Mage, so evolve, and whenever a +1/+1's put onto her, we get to draw. We also have a foil Rapid Hybridization, which is pretty cool. I actually like that card too. I play it in Simic Delver and Bant Delver as well, so it's definitely nice to have a foil one. Another Simic Charm. Alms Beast, 6/6 for 4. Creatures blocking or blocked by Alms Beast have lifelink. So, I mean, that's the only downside to having a big 6/6 creature. And there's also an Angel. I like those Angel tokens, so I'm going to keep that to the side there. But the Alms Beast is it's pretty boss as far as creatures go for Limited. We'll go from this end for this pack. Do we have anything good? No, nothing good out of the uncommons. We have Glaring Spotlight. So it kind of has like two modes for how useful it is. It essentially lets you target hexproof creatures once it's out there, but for 3 mana you can sack it, and creatures you control gain hexproof and can't be blocked for the turn. So that's really solid for Limited. I love drafting this card for Limited. I usually snap pick it unless there's something like really a lot better than it. That's Approach, Heirs of Justice, Cartel Aristocrats being played. That's a useful uncommon. We have Boros Reckoner. Boros Reckoner is all the dumb. Boros Reckoner is so nuts. Such a good card. And he's actually worth a decent bit of money. 3/3 for triple Boros Hybrid. Whenever he's dealt damage, he redirects that damage to target creature or player. And for red and white, he gains first strike until the end of the turn. And when I say redirect, it's not that he doesn't take the damage. He still takes damage, but he gets to deal that much damage to something else, which is really solid. Boros Reckoner is just nuts. Another hybridization. Yeah, I'll put that aside, I guess. We have Realmright, no foil. Realmright enters the battlefield, and we choose a basic land type. Lands that we control have that land type in addition to their other types, so they can tap for like different mana appropriately. It's not really an impressive card for Limited. I've drafted it a few times, like as very late picks. I would like to see if it has like any potential for Constructed. I haven't seen any so far, but it's definitely an interesting card. I like the whole concept of it. We'll jump kind of halfway into this pack. We have Nightveil Spectre, 2/3 for triple Dimir Hybrid, flying. Whenever it deals damage, successfully combat damage to a player, we get to exile the top card of your library. We can play the exiled card off the top of their library. Or more specifically, we can play spells, or play cards that are exiled with Nightveil Spectre, just in general. We have Luminate Primordial. So the white Primordial with Vigilance, 4/7/4/7 Vigilance. And whenever it enters the battlefield, we make our opponent exile one creature of our choice, and they get to gain life equal to its power. And we have a foil Assault Griffin, which is pretty cool. Luminate Primordial is another card that I love drafting whenever I'm forced drafting, and it's just nuts. I've drafted it once or twice with Orzhov whenever I got the Crypt Ghast, because I could ramp into it consistently too. And needless to say, I won the drafts just off of like really dumb stuff like Luminate Primordial and a lot of other high drops for black and white. But Luminate Primordial is just nuts. Alright, so moving on. We have Thespian Stage, and Thespian Stage for 2 mana becomes a copy of target land, and it gains the ability to yet again copy again if you wish to do that. So Thespian Stage is like an interesting card for like EDH whenever somebody has a really good land that you want. We have another Illusionist Bracers, which is pretty solid. And we have a nice and shiny Lazov Dimir Mastermind. That is just nice. That's real nice. Love that. Lazov is just such a fun card. And this is the last pack out of the second column here. Biomass Mutation. Creatures you control become XX until the end of the turn. And it's X and double Simic Hybrid. So yeah, that's the second one. Now let's move on to the third one. That Lazov is just, that is just nice. I think that's probably like my favorite pull out of this whole box, is just that nice and shiny Lazov. Let's see here. We have Unexpected Results. So 4 mana, shuffle your deck, reveal the top card. If it's a land, you can put it onto the battlefield and return Unexpected Results to your hand. If it's a if it's a non-land card, you can cast it without paying its mana cost. So like I was talking about, like the Enter the Infinite Unexpected Results kind of like deal. I've seen people just run like really high cost stuff and just be able to play like Omniscience, Enter the Infinite, just really dumb stuff off of Unexpected Results and just have it work. So it's something. So we have Sepulchral Primordial, the Black Primordial. So what did I say? Once you get 2 Primordials, you just keep on pulling more Primordials of different colors. So Illuminate Primordial and Sepulchral Primordial. We have a foil Nightveil Spectre, which is pretty sick. So that's the second one out of the box. First one being just a regular non-foil. And Gifts of Orzhova is an awesome card for limited, but nothing really that amazing for constructed. So we have Blind Obedience. Blind Obedience is another nuts card again. So it's Extort, 1 generic and 1 white, and artifacts and creatures your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped. Blind Obedience is just dumb. In the hands of control decks, whenever they're casting stuff like Think Twice and anything that's like really cheap, where they're just trying to get like card advantage or something like that, they can just utilize Extort really easily. Just each time they cast a spell, pay 1, drain your opponent's life by 1, gain 1 life, and it just ends up stacking. Especially like if you have the Tamiyo Emblem. Tamiyo Emblem, any like really cheap casting card, Blind Obedience, and you essentially like have infinite life unless your opponent just smacks your face every single time for a whole lot. It's very hard to bounce back from like Tamiyo Emblem and Blind Obedience, and I've both used it and seen people lose really terribly to that kind of an interaction. Alright, so we have Claim Defiance, another really awesome card. It hasn't actually been seeing constructed play, but it definitely has the potential to. It's X, red, and green, and you can choose 1 or more of the abilities where it can deal X damage to target creature without flying, X damage to target creature with flying, and X damage to target player. So you can use 1 or more of those abilities if they work for you. You're not limited to just 1. But in limited, that card's nuts. We have Ogre Slumlord. We also have a foil that I'm not trying to spoil right now. Ogre Slumlord is nuts and limited as well. Ogre Slumlord and Gruul Rage Beast ends up becoming just really dumb because you just end up killing their opponent's things really easily. You kill like one of their really small creatures. Ah, he's fallen. Fail on my part. You end up killing like one of their creatures, and then you put a 1/1 black rat onto the battlefield. That creature enters the battlefield, and Gruul Rage Beast's ability like gets put on the stack again. So your 1/1 with Death Touch has to fight another creature. So you end up just having like this really dumb interaction where you just get to kill all of your opponent's things off. So I love Ogre Slumlord and Gruul Rage Beast, and I actually did a 5-color draft with those. But I did spoil it. Daring Skyjack is our foil here. I know, fail on my part. Can't help it. Clumsy. All right, so let's see. We have a few more packs here. But I totally didn't even I never would have imagined that kind of interaction with like Slumlord and Rage Beast until I drafted them, and then I was like, oh wow, this is definitely a thing on Magic the Gathering Online. We have a breeding pool, another Shockland. That is solid. So green and blue. Shockland for us. We have Rubble Hulk, power and toughness equal to the amount of lands you control. We also have a nice and shiny Watery Grave. Oh yeah. Gotta love them foil Shocklands. That's just sick. Rubble Hulk is just nuts with Blood Rush, but who can't just appreciate a nice and shiny Shockland? Like that's just nuts. Foil Olazov, foil Watery Grave, foil Night Veil Spectre as far as rares go. Not bad at all. Pretty decent box. Like, well, actually, it's not a decent box. It's a really nuts box. It's really good. I mean, Boris Reckoner too is just crazy good. Gruul Charm is pretty solid. We have the Diluvian Primordial, so another Primordial here. Only makes my case even more solid that you just keep on pulling Primordials once you start. Try and wrap this up quick here. Not to waste any of your precious time for you guys. So Borbagamos Enraged, another mythic, big bulky dude, just slams faces. Cinder Elemental as a foil. Borbagamos is awesome in a Reanimator style deck, just because in Reanimator, like you usually use like cards like Mulch and Grizzly Salvage and cards like that, and you're probably gonna have like land surplus in your hand. So whenever you reanimate Borbagamos, you have the utility of being able to just like discard your lands and deal 3 damage each time to your opponent, which is just so stupid. It's awesome. I love Borbagamos. I like the original Borbagamos, but like this one, I just like him even more. And we have Mind Grind, one of my personal favorite cards out of this set. It's essentially Mind Funeral, but it has the potential of becoming bigger in like control decks and stuff like that. You can mill them for a lot more. I like it. It's a fun card. I love mill. Boris Charm is really awesome. We have Spark Trooper, which is another card that I like. 6/1 for 4, trample, lifelink, haste. You have to sack it at the beginning of the end step. Even still, it's just a really nuts card. I've drafted it in limited, and it just gets there whenever you need to gain life and deal damage, and your opponent doesn't have blockers. It's really convenient. And last pack here, moment of judgment. And we got that Treasury Thrall, and we also have a foil, but extort 4/4 for 6, and whenever he attacks, we get to take back a artifact, creature, or an enchantment from our grave to our hands. And we got a foil Wildwood Rebirth. Nothing that amazing, but foils nonetheless. So I would have to say really crazy box this time around. Really solid stuff out of here. Borbagamos was pretty good. Watery Grave is nuts. Breeding Pool, Blind Obedience, the foil Nightveil Spectre is pretty nice. Foil Lazov. Boros Reckoner is nuts and he's worth a good bit of money. Enter the Infinite, Aurelia's Fury, Stomping Ground, Firemane Avenger is pretty good. Dusk Mantle, Seer, and Godless Shrine. Those are like all really good cards out of here. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below if you enjoyed this video, even though like I took a ridiculously long amount of time to like open this box and talk about stuff. Please be sure to like, favorite, and subscribe for more Magic the Gathering content. Until next time, guys, have yourselves a wonderful, fun-filled Magic the Gathering day.